Hey, everybody. How wonderful to see you. And tonight we're going to talk about emotional eating. We're going to talk about why you do it. We're going to talk about how to stop it. And we're going to take the story away from it so that you can actually stop emotional eating within 30 or 45 seconds if you wanted to. So, emotional eating is the way that we use food to distract ourselves from feeling something uncomfortable. And the only time we feel something uncomfortable is when some part of ourself gets triggered. Some part of our brain is reminded of something that happened in the past. And when that happens, we get either a panic or a vague feeling of discomfort, or we just always try to avoid it. And the ways that we try to avoid feeling like we're off balance or we don't know what's happening or uncertain is that ourselves to distract us from feeling good. Now, actually, this would probably be okay if food was actually used in the way it's meant to. Delicious food is meant to help us feel loved, to help us feel like we value ourselves, like we care about who we are and what we believe. So food is neither good nor bad. It is every single food has benefits to it and drawbacks. And when you start to bring yourself into a place of centeredness, you can enjoy everything that you want to enjoy because you know intuitively when's the right time to eat it or what foods you should pair it with or whether right now you need to be eating this or it's more important that you take a bath. So food should be used as a way to make us feel good about ourselves, to make us feel like we're enjoying life, like it's a rich part of life. When we use food in that way, it heals us. When we use food as a way to cover up the knot in our stomach, or we use it to pretend like our chest isn't tight and we can hardly breathe. When we use food as a way to keep us in our suffering cycle, to keep us repeating that same pattern of feeling out of balance and not doing anything about it, and there's no judgment either way. A lot of times, no one knew what to do about it, or we were lied to about what to do about it. You can use food, if you use it mindfully, to nourish yourself. Even the most horrible thing you can think of, ding dongs, Twinkies, Doritos, when used properly, they can nourish your soul. They can bring you back to health. But if used as a way to um, not do something that authentically makes us feel happy, that instead hijacks our system and takes it in the other salt or something to take us off balance, then it's not good for us. So what can you do? This is what I ask you, and I impress it upon every woman that I work with who struggles with emotional eating. What I want you to do is when you notice that you're doing the same thing you've always done, reaching for the same thing, the same chips, the same whatever, I want you to pause. And when you pause, I want you to do something that calms your nervous system down. Sometimes it's just putting your hand on your heart and waiting until your breathing starts to slow. Because just putting your hand on your heart tells your body to start slowing things down. Or maybe you rub your hands or your arms to calm yourself down. Havening is one of my favorites. It's almost everybody's favorite, to calm ourselves down. And then once you've calmed yourself down, see if you still want whatever it is you were going to eat. And some of the time you say to yourself, absolutely. In fact, a lot of the time I'll say to myself, absolutely, I want to eat this, but I only want to eat one because I love the flavor and I love the memory and I love how it makes me feel. And if I eat one, my body will be fine, because I'm not going into anaphylactic shock or whatever. You know what I mean? So food can be used to lift us up when it's used as a blessing, when that's the blessing before every meal that I was raised with in my Catholic family. We prayed before every meal. And it was that blessing that made the food sacred and holy and nourishing Because when we're shut down for whatever reason, when we're scared or stressed and we're emotional eating, our body can't digest it. It gets stuck. It makes us feel stuck. It hangs around. It doesn't nourish us. We can't even take in the nourishment because our blood vessels are contracted and our cells are contracted and we don't have enough exchange of oxygen because our chest is tight. And, when we are distraction in a way that keeps you stuck, like you're not paying attention to the delicious food you're eating, then that just keeps you along that path of suffering, of being dysregulated. But when you use that same food and you pause and you smell it and you touch it and you think about your memories around it. I learned this in Colombia. In Colombia, they taught me before I ate anything to think about the lineage, to think about the ruin in the soil, and this act of gratitude, like the act of a prayer before your meal. That act of doing that means that you have the ability to be nourished. You have the ability to reconnect with spirit. Emotional eating is you feeling disconnected from your higher self. And so the only answer when you're feeling disconnected from your higher self, and notice that you're doing that, is to do something that legitimately makes you feel good. Even if it's slowing down your eating, continuing to eat, but slowing down your eating and enjoying it, turning it into a sacred event, a loving event, a nourishing, caring, compassionate event, instead of one that's filled with shame and guilt. And when you do that, when you make that shift, literally your brain and your body heal itself. And you start losing the need to eat emotionally. You stop feeling controlled by your emotional eating, controlled by your cravings. You stop feeling controlled by the subconscious thing that keeps you stressed out and feeling unhealthy and sad and sick. So literally, doing something that makes you feel happy, legitimately happy, that you're present to, even if it's the same bad habit you were doing, it's the act of being grateful and present with it that does the magic. So I invite you to do this. I want you to pay attention for the next couple days. If you notice yourself eating emotionally, or even let's just do it this way. Make it a rule for the next few days that before you eat anything, you haven or you TAT point or you do heart math exercises, you do something to regulate your nervous system, almost like the prayer, or you pray, but you do something to regulate your nervous system before you eat, every time you eat. And let's just see if your emotional eating starts to dial down, if the cravings start to dial down. Make yourself that promise. Do it just for a few days. Still do the exact same thing you were always going to do, except before you do it, balance yourself out. Pray or haven or center yourself. Give it a shot. I want to hear what happens. Let me know. Make comments down if you try this and let us know, because I'm very confident. Okay, so I hope you have a great rest of your day, a great night. And I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. I love you all. Thank you. All right, good night.